Hi, in this video I want to talk to you all about another Greek myth. So this is part of the Greek myth about Daedalus, Icurus, let me spell it right, and the Minotaur. The Minotaur is kind of a background figure. Daedalus is an inventor. He gets hired by King Minos. Not King Midas, who touches everything that turns to gold. King Minos, who hires him because King Minos has a little bit of a problem. You see, it turns out that King Minos' wife, the queen, slept with a bull. And she conceived a half-man, half-bull called the Minotaur. And the Minotaur roams around eating children. He loves children. He is a child gobbler. And you can imagine that as a king, if you want things orderly in your kingdom, you can't have your bastard son going around eating children just randomly. So what he does, King Minos, ends up hiring Daedalus. By the way, scholars for years thought that this myth had no basis in fact. I'm not telling you that actually a human reproduced with a bull, but archaeologists ended up going back and finding what we call Minoan culture. And they did that about 120 years ago. And unearthed structures, palaces, and a whole city. So King Minos hires Daedalus, the inventor, to basically create a place where the Minotaur, his bastard son, could be controlled. And what Daedalus comes up with is a maze or a labyrinth that nobody can find the way out. At Halloween time, many of you go to cornfields that are created as mazes, and you can imagine, if you've been through a cornfield maze, what it would be like to have one made out of stones that is designed for you never to find the end. And this labyrinth, this maze, quiet! My puppies are interrupting. I don't know if they're upset about the maze or the labyrinth. Maybe so. This labyrinth is very successful, so the Minotaur, the half-man, half-bull, human-eating child gobbler, can be left in there. And King Minos brings in children from other kingdoms, his own kingdom, but other provinces, to feed the son that he never spawned. And what they do with the children is release them, and they walk around until the Minotaur finds them and eats them. So this is another example of child gobbler. But let's talk about King Minos and what it means to be in an arms race. An arms race, such as happened during the Cold War here in the United States between the Soviet Union and the United States, is a race where enemies keep increasing their power and their weaponry so that they can achieve superiority. This ended up bankrupting the Soviet Union, and the wall fell down under Ronald Reagan, the wall in East Germany, or that separated East Germany from West Germany. And it's called the Cold War because shots weren't fired, even though the two opposing sides used proxies to go and make war with each other, such as when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Our country ended up funding people to defeat the Soviet Union, And one of them, you might remember his name, is Osama bin Laden. And we trained him and funded him in order to defeat the Soviets. Later on, he would take his revenge and commit what happened on 9/11. King Minos realizes that Daedalus is so smart at developing weapons, which the maze or the labyrinth could be considered a weapon, that he doesn't want him to be hired by any other kings. And so what his solution to that is to incarcerate Daedalus, who is a single father, and his son Icurus. And it's nice. It's a nice house arrest. He puts them in a huge tower, gives him everything he needs for his research and for his inventions, and he thinks he's got a handle on it. But how many people really want to be captured or held in captivity? Not many. Daedalus is no exception. He is disgusted by what's going on. Now, in this tower that's by the ocean, there is a plaza on top. And this is a beautiful plaza with trees, and the birds come, and you can see the ocean and smell the ocean breeze. And one day when he's walking outside with his son Icurus, he's watching the birds, and he's thinking, if only I could fly, if only we could fly, we could escape this tyranny. And so Daedalus studies the birds, and he realizes that for himself to fly and his child, that they would both have to have wings. And he looks at the shape of the wings, and he realizes that, oh, I can use the branches from the trees here and create wings. And then he sees that the feathers from the birds are dropping like birds do. They shed their feathers just like humans shed their skin. And he designs the wings out of wood and branches, and then he pastes them on with tar over the wings, except, well, not with tar, I apologize. He realizes he needs to attach the feathers, and he doesn't have any tar, and so he thinks, what else can I use to glue these feathers onto the wings so that we can fly away from here? And he realizes that inside this castle, this tower that he's been imprisoned in, there are candles everywhere. That he can take the candles and use the wax from the candle. I don't know if you've ever done wax art, but this is what he does. And he pastes, using the wax, all the feathers onto the wings. And he gets both pair completed, and he says to his son, Icurus, once they've strapped the wings on, do not fly too high. Because if you do fly too high, the sun will melt the wax and the wings will fall apart. He also tells him, do not fly too low. So do not fly too high, because the sun will melt the wings. Do not fly too low, because then they'll get wet and they'll become heavy and you won't be able to fly anymore. And Icurus says to his father, I will do what you ask, Father. And so they're up on top of this skyscraper, this tower, and they leap out above the sea. And instead of hitting the sea, indeed, the wings work. And Icurus is so exhilarated by this that he forgets what his father says, and he starts doing tricks in the air with the wings. he goes down, and then he goes up, and then he keeps going, and he's doing tricks and spins, and it's like a dude with a surfboard or with a skateboard, with a motorcycle, and he forgets about his father's counsel as he continues to go up, up, and up. And by the time, because Daedalus is so excited about escaping this imprisonment, by the time he realizes what his son has done, he screams at him, "Do not go so high." Icurus cannot hear his father, and the sun melts the wax, and Icurus plunges into the ocean and drowns. Do not fly too high, do not fly too low. Often in Greek mythology, and this is a common concept now in Western culture, in our own culture, take the middle path. Do not be too extreme. Do not be either or. Take the middle path, and that's the path that will help you to survive. Once again, Icurus exhibits hubris because he breaks out of this middle path. He exceeds the limits, and because of his own actions, kills himself. My recommendation to you: don't go to the extremes. Don't go too high. Don't go too low. Be moderate and take the middle road. Thank you.